pretty sure fans of the Dune books are going to be happy with this movie. Okay, so tonight I went to go see the Dune film, the highly anticipated, or at least highly anticipated by fans of this series. I'm not a fan of the series, and I say that because I've never read the books. I never really fully watched the movies. I know there was a mini-series. There was also a movie from the 80s. I remember the movie from the 80s, and I remember that capturing my attention, and I never forgot it because the imagery that I saw from that film just was so, out there for me. I was impressed with it at the time, but I was also like a kid. So I didn't know what it was about, but it just captivated me. I heard it was terrible. I think I played the movie at some point in the background, but maybe one day, but I never really watched it, paid attention. I remember Sting was in there. So I'd heard people making comments or seen commentary about this and how that a good and solid and faithful adaptation just wasn't able to be done. I guess maybe at the time, just limitations with the technology and filmmaking and all that. And then I started hearing rumblings when this was made or was getting ready to come out. I was hearing rumblings that, not of discontent, but that it was able to capture the essence of Dune, the stories. I've never read Dune, like I said, so I went into this pretty blind. I only had a very basic, rudimentary understanding and knowledge of the world and the people and the politics and all of that stuff. I have to say that despite my lack of knowledge about certain things, and there's probably a lot of stuff that went over my head that I didn't really understand. What was this about? What's the significance of this or whatever? I still was able to follow along with the story and understood the basic plot and appreciated what I was watching. So I feel like fans of science fiction, even if you've never read Dune or watched any of the other movies or the miniseries, whatever, movies, I think you'll probably still enjoy this and appreciate it and be able to follow along. I don't think you'll be too terribly lost. I wasn't terribly lost, even though, like I said, I'm sure there was stuff I didn't fully comprehend, but I still knew what was going on. I understood what was happening. So, having said that, I also want to point out that this movie is gorgeous. The cinematography is beautiful, just the way the shots are framed and the way they flow, and the editing very smooth. There was one thing that happened during one edit that I was completely confused. It was just like a character goes in this room and then it shows a scene of like somebody walking only from their feet, but you never see exactly who it is, and it doesn't appear to be him because he's still in the same place. That was a little wonky and confusing. So I don't know, maybe I just kind of like spaced out and just missed who it was or whatever. That was really the only wonky thing as far as that went that I noticed. But the acting is great. Like I said, cinematography, the score is good. And here's where I'm going to get into two little complaints that I had. One is that sometimes the score, and I don't know if it was just my theater, I kind of don't think that it was the case. I think this is just how the movie was. The score was sometimes a little overbearing. Like sometimes it was so loud that it would be playing during a scene where people are talking and they're not really like yelling, they're just talking, but it would overpower their voices. And so that was kind of frustrating because I couldn't catch everything they were saying. And it wasn't enough to make me lose track of what was happening, but it was aggravating nonetheless. Then there were other times where the score wasn't an issue at all, but the people weren't talking very clearly. They were mumbling or whispering or in hushed voices, and they just weren't enunciating the words very clearly. Things were mushed together, and so I don't know, maybe it's because I'm an old fart and my ears don't work the same as they used to when I was a teen or whatever, but I do think, I mean, I don't think it's just me. I have a feeling it was just, they just weren't, I don't know, whatever. That also wasn't enough to take away from my ability to follow along with the plot. Those are the only two real issues that I actually had with it as far as on the technical side. On the sort of entertainment value side, the only real main issue I had was that, yeah, this is a part one, so there's no really big, huge climactic buildup to this thing that's going to happen. That sort of thing happens about an hour and 40 minutes into the film, where there's this big stuff that goes on, and that was pretty intense and exciting, and you're watching and all this stuff is going down, and then things settle down, and then it's like, well, they got another hour to go pretty much before it's over. Did I say an hour and 40? I mean like an hour and 20 minutes in. When that sort of stuff is all done, yeah, they had like maybe a little bit less than an hour to go before it was done, but still quite a chunk. Let's say at least 40 to 45 minutes. And so some stuff was happening, and then there was this very minor sort of thing, like little thing that happened, and then it was done. And so I feel like most people going into this that understand this is a one-parter will expect that it's not going to have this normal resolution feel to it at the end. So I knew that going in. So it didn't disappoint me, but the flow of it, it was just like, wow, I wish, boy, I can't talk. I wish we already knew that a part two was just around the corner, because the development and filming and everything of part two, from what I understand, is going to be completely dependent on how well part one does. Now, I was looking at the theater rooms at my theater for the Thursday night previews, because this is when I saw it, Thursday night. My review obviously is going to go up on Friday. Those things were selling out, except for like the very, very front rows. But most people, a lot of times, that people just don't like to sit there unless it's like an Avengers Endgame type of situation and they're desperate, then yeah, maybe they will. But my theater was pretty full, and other showtimes that I checked were pretty full. I don't know if Thursday night previews are going to end up that folks are going to walk away from it, especially if they're not fans of Dune, if they're going to walk away from it and feel disappointed, and then maybe that word of mouth is going to keep other people away. But I think if people in general are satisfied for the most part, like I was, and especially fans of Dune, I think they're going to be ecstatic for the most part. Hopefully this will give the movie strong legs to carry through the rest of the weekend. I mean, I want to see it succeed. I hope it does well. I hope we get to see a part two, because I would like to know a resolution of the story. I know there's, I don't know, a lot of books, from what I understand. I probably won't end up reading these books, but I would like to know how the story goes, how it ends, what happens. And I guess we're not going to get that until we have a part two. This almost feels to me like it should be, I mean, just from what I understand about the enormity of this series, it almost feels like this should be more than a 2-film thing, but I don't know. I haven't heard that it's supposed to be a 3-parter. I've just heard that it's going to be a 2-parter. I might be wrong about that. Anyway, so yeah, I don't feel like this movie was a waste of my time. I will say something that's going to be a little weird, probably shocking to Dune fans. Maybe not shocking, but whatever. Okay, so it's strange. This film was beautiful. I enjoyed it. What was I saying when you walked in? I forgot either. Oh, I think I was saying, I was leading into this thing I was going to say about it. It's funny that I enjoyed the film. I was really struck by the cinematography. Some might call it a bit pretentious, because it kind of bordered on that. Like Green Knight went into pretentious territory for me. This sort of toyed with that a little bit, but it wasn't obnoxious. So I enjoyed this so much more than the Green Knight. It was also just more up my alley, for one thing. And like I said, acting, score, all this stuff. Oh, I liked the fight choreography. We didn't see a lot of fighting and action in here, and action doesn't really pick up until an hour and 20 minutes into this thing because there's a lot of character buildup. I appreciated that they took the time to do that instead of rushing, because honestly, I think if they had rushed things too much, I would not have liked this as, to the extent that I did, or as much as I did. So they did that, and they just gave you a very solid foundation as to the world, the people, what's going on, the politics, all of this other stuff. And then when the crap started to hit the fan, you understood what was happening, you knew this buildup of tension was happening because you understood there was some political stuff. There was some political stuff happening, and between the different families and the emperor and all this stuff. And so when it happened, it was like a big deal, and that scene went on for a good while. But what I was going to say is that while I enjoyed this film, it's technically a wonderful film, and just entertainment wise, it's decent, very good. I actually had more fun watching Halloween Kills. Despite my issues with Halloween Kills, I had more fun. So that kind of makes me feel like, okay, for me, this movie's probably just going to be a one watch type of thing. Maybe I'll rewatch it before part 2 comes out, just to refresh my memory as to what happened. That's not really to say anything bad about this film, because it's so weird. Like, I don't know. It was just, that's just how I felt. Like, I was like, well, this is good. I enjoyed it. I'm not really interested to watch it again. Dune fans might want to watch this multiple times, and I don't blame them, because like I said at the very beginning, I feel like they're going to be really happy with this product. The characters. In general, I liked all the characters. If you're going in here expecting to see, what's her name? Zendaya or Zendaya? I don't always remember her name anyway. She's not in here a lot, so don't go in here expecting to see her a ton. He's not in there a lot either. What's his name? Oh, that guy. Gosh. Dude from Guardians of the Galaxy. His name is escaping me. He's not in there very much at all. That big bad, I can't remember what his name is. But you know him, the big dude, the big gross guy. He's not in here very much either, but you just know he's this big bad in the background. The Emperor, I don't think we ever saw the Emperor. If we did, I didn't know that's who it was. I'm trying to remember, honestly. I don't recall. And the Emperor is another sort of bad in the background kind of thing going on. But the characters in general, I feel like the main character that I had the most emotional attachment to was the father of him, Oscar Isaac. There was just something, like, I don't know, it's just, I connected more with him as a person. And I don't know why, because I think you're supposed to connect more with Paul, the main guy. And he was okay. Timothy did a wonderful job acting, but I've never really connected with Timothy's characters, the characters that he has played. There's something about him that just doesn't spark any sort of like excitement about his stuff at all. It's weird. I don't know why. I can't explain it. He's a great actor, so I don't know. But he felt a bit detached, or I felt detached from him. I felt detached from his mother, because she was, I couldn't completely, I mean, she did great too. The actress did great too, but she just felt very distant. All of these characters, almost all of them, felt distant to me as people. Maybe Josh Brolin's character, Jason Momoa's character, a little bit more connection with him. But, so there just wasn't that underpinning of attachment to most of the characters in here, which was odd. So I don't know, it's kind of funny. It's hard to explain. But anyway, in general, I enjoyed it. It wasn't a waste of my time. I already said that. I know I'll repeat myself. I think if you're on the fence as to whether you want to see this or not, I don't know if you'd be on the fence because you just think you wouldn't be interested. If you're a sci-fi fan, I don't really see how you couldn't be interested in this, but I mean, people have their different tastes. If you're a Dune fan, I can just about guarantee you're going to be interested to watch. Well, I know you're interested to watch this, but I can just about guarantee that you will enjoy it. So if you have the opportunity to watch this on the big screen, I would say go for it, because I feel like that's the best way to appreciate the visuals, because like I said, it's beautiful. And I think that's about all I can say. I've gone through the characters, gone through the technical issues that annoyed me. I think big screen's the way to go. I know it's airing also on, was it HBO Max? Yeah, HBO Max. But if you're able to and you feel secure to go out and, I've been going to the theater since our local one reopened here. I mean, we have several theaters in the area, but the one my son works at, that's where I most often go. And it's been open for more than a year, and I was like right there about as soon as they opened. I have never been afraid to go out and go to places like that, to the movie theater. Haven't gone to cons yet because that's very, very crowded. But even before we got sick with the virus, I was there at the movie theater, and I didn't even catch it there. So I think you'll probably be okay. But anyway, yeah, I hope it does well, and I guess we'll see as the weekend progresses. And so I guess let me know what you guys think, especially if you're like a super fan of Dune. Did it meet your expectations, or did you come away feeling disappointed? I'd be surprised if most Dune fans would be really disappointed in this, honestly. But like I said, this is coming from someone with no real solid exposure to the material. So I might be completely naive as to thinking that this is a great adaptation. But I have been hearing people comment that it's quite faithful to the source material, and it's brought to life very well. And the director did a good job, in my opinion. And I kind of felt like he would, based on knowing who he was, because I've seen some of his other things. And I know his style is pretty solid for the most part. So yeah, I think that's it. Don't have anything else. I'm going to wrap this up. Got to edit it so I can get it up for tomorrow. See you guys later. Bye.